Hi, Jessica here. In this brief video, I'm going to give some guidance for Chinese authors writing for English language journals. First, a few notes on structure. I want to acknowledge that non-Western journal text structures vary. There is no universal structure. This makes direct translation of non-English language journal papers problematic. But structural variations are learnable. Second, reports present all results often without an argument. They can be long and speculative. They're great for developing journal paper ideas, but report structure cannot be copied into the format of a journal paper. This is also true of dissertations, theses, and book chapters, which are either longer or rely on surrounding chapters. Again, great for paper ideas, but their structure cannot be copied. There is some variation in journal paper structure depending on the discipline. However, there are basic elements that remain the same. The most commonly used journal paper structure is referred to as IMRAD. This comprises an introduction, methods, results, and discussion sections. So results can also be called findings, and I often refer to them as that. So just consider them interchangeable. Many of you will already be quite familiar with this type of structure, and for those of you who are not, welcome to the club. As I said, there is some variation in the IMRAD, so it's useful for you to become familiar with what is appropriate for you. So I have a little homework. I want you to find 2 to 3 model papers in your field, broader than but related to your topic, published in the last 2 years. You can search through Google Scholar or look at top journals in your field. But what I really want you to focus on is looking for good examples of a strong introduction, methods that are similar to yours, and a subject or context that is similar to yours. You can also look at strong discussion sections or graphics or anything that you think would be that you might have struggle with. Look for good examples. It's really not just about what is written in the paper, but how it is written. These will become your guides, your models. Note that published papers have gone through extensive peer review, so at this point, don't compare your draft. The purpose of this exercise is that the model papers are meant to help you solve some of the problems that you're going to face and get you through some of the dilemmas of writing in terms of organization and language and sort of breadth and depth of what you might need to include in a section. So please keep these handy throughout the writing process. The model paper is meant to be a reference, not a research activity. Although if you learn something about your topic, great. Remember, you're looking at structure, you're not reading for information. So study the introduction. Look at how does the paper begin? What kind of background do the authors provide? Is there a claim for significance? How is it structured? What kind of language do they use? Is the argument clear? Where does it first appear? Can you see it throughout the paper? Look at the various sections. How many citations do the authors include? What kind of examples or case studies? How are the methods, findings, discussion structured? What figures are included and why? How do they describe figures? How are tables organized? Make notes on what might be useful for you to imitate and anything that you might want to avoid. As you prepare to add content to your structure, let me talk a little bit about summary sentences. These provide guideposts and answer the so what when details are described. They should be in every section and can be included at the paragraph level as needed. So they can be linking paragraphs together, which then link subsections together, which then link sections together. A well-written paper sums up and moves forward at the same time. Don't wait until the conclusion. Provide clarity throughout. Enable your reader to dip in and out of your paper and still be able to make sense of what your core argument and your topic is. Don't assume the reader is going to make assumptions. Your job is to show and tell. Interpret, elevate up, link back to the argument, give critical summary so that the reader does not have to ask, so what? Remember, it's about don't just show, tell. Show the evidence and tell the reader why it matters in the context of your argument. Okay, let's move on to words. While they're part of the microstructure, there are macrostructure characteristics to consider. In other words, there are trends in word choice for you to think about. First of all, and I want to emphasize this, if there is a shorter word or phrase that can be used without changing the meaning of your paper, use it. Specific things to look for are long words. For example, use the word use instead of utilize. Thinking about long phrases, instead of using owing to the fact that, just use the word because. In terms of nominalizations, which are when a verb is turned into a noun, instead of using achieve a reduction in, use something like reduce. And think about redundancies, two words that say the same thing. For example, may potentially can just be shortened to potentially. You want to try to avoid adverbs and adjectives unless they're important research variables. Generally write in active voice, which is by format shorter than passive voice. Choose brevity over verbosity. I realize the topics I've covered in this video so far are applicable to anyone writing for an English language journal. Yet, I particularly see EFL authors struggle with structural issues, from overall paper organization down to summary and synthesis, and of course, word choice. And while I have my own views, I think the important thing is that improving these issues will make any journal paper substantially stronger. I want to end this video with habits from Brittman's article titled The Most Common Habits from More Than 200 English Papers Written by Graduate Chinese Engineering Students. Number 1, the single most common habit is the omission of articles a, and the. This occurs because Mandarin has no direct equivalent of articles, and the rules for using them are somewhat complicated for non-native speakers. Number 2, very long sentences are especially common in Chinese English writing because the writers often translate directly from Chinese to English. Although in Chinese writing it is acceptable to put several supporting ideas in one sentence to show their relationship, in English the main idea in each supporting idea is typically written in separate sentences. Number 3, Chinese writers often preface the main topic of a sentence by first stating the purpose, location, reason, examples, and conditions as introductory elements. However, this has the effect of demoting the importance of the main idea and making the reader think the author is indirect. Bring the main idea to the beginning of the sentence, stating any locations, reasons, etc. afterwards. Number 4, refrain from using the word obviously in a technical paper. These are just a few mentioned in her paper, but there are those that I've seen most often. A link to the full paper is included in the reference at the end of this video. I hope you found this video useful. Here are some references and resources.